I currently have three of my mother's cats staying with me. This is Miss Mimi, who is very tiny, very sassy, likes to take a walk about the house at odd hours of the night, including 2 a.m., has interesting nocturnal habits. This is Miss Blackie Black. She is young and only slightly longer than Mimi, both very tiny, very sassy, up to no good. She is quiet and climbs things, surprising me at all hours. And here we have Miss Polly Cat, my feline sister. She is quite round, quite spoiled, and quite lazy, but she is very sweet. And we love her just as she is. And there we have Figgy, who is stealing everybody's food at all hours. I constantly have to find ways to take their leftovers. Obviously, I'm failing at that in this moment. He wants to play with Blackie, but he also wants to bite her, and does not remember that she was his one friend when he was living inside of my mother's room in isolation, and she used to play with him under the door, but they never saw each other, so this is a forbidden love, and a violent one. But they haven't fought, they just like to hiss at one another. Neither of them is willing to make a move, they just make a lot of noise. And that is my current situation. Look, he's receiving a judgmental glare from Mimi, who used to be Oreo's mom. He was a very large cat. Mimi Cat is very small, but she is full of personality and does not take anyone's nonsense. And that one has felt her wrath already. Nieve, meanwhile, is the most mellow of cats. She is tolerating all this nonsense somewhere. Usually under the couch. Is she over here? No. She's probably under the couch again. But she's very good and she puts up with too much. The reason that Polly is named Polly is because she's a polycat who has thumbs. Show me your thumbs, Polly. Oh no, she just wants love. Good girl. She's very sweet. Those are the thumbs. Thumbs. There they are. Show off your extra toes, Polly. Very nice. Good girl. No, thank you. So I very quickly developed a really bad rebound migraine yesterday. I have been having migraines on and off for the last week, partly due to stress, partly due to the situation with the reason the cats are in my house. And at least once a year, I'll get like a really, really bad one, the kind that leads me to urgent care. And you would think that the reason is the pain, but it's not for me. For me, usually the urgent care, ER, usually urgent care is enough and sufficient, but those for me are the ones that have so much nausea that I can't keep anything down. Where like everything is out and my body is still trying to get more out. They're also fast in terms of like the increase in pain, like going from like a tolerable 2 to 3 to like a solid, I wouldn't say 10, because I feel like in my experience a 10 has been really frightening with like loss of vision and numbness and stuff like that, and only happened one time really. So that's the peak of what I consider an extreme migraine attack. So I wouldn't say a 10, but like definitely an 8-ish was yesterday's, in terms of just like how fast it came on. I was out driving. I had had some lunch because I knew that like my stomach had already been feeling off. Like I think I was having aura earlier in the day, because of lack of sleep. I had taken a nap that became a very long sleep, and if you know anything about migraines, there's like this very fine balance between too little sleep and too much sleep. And in the last week, I had had both of these things. So yeah, I had had too little sleep and then too much sleep to recover from too little sleep, and that totally threw me off balance. After I woke up from that not quite a nap, I had to go get some tasks done, deliver stuff to work for an event we're doing this week. And work is an hour away from where I live, so as I was driving back home, I just could not. I had to get to my mom's place. It was closer than my place, and just stay there. She was not home. She doesn't have the stuff I need for a migraine. At least not the stuff that helps me most. Like she doesn't have Advil in the house for some reason. And Advil is the most effective NSAID for me. So I tried to take some leave. That did not stay down. It came right back up. And that's when I knew this was going to be an urgent care situation. So they gave me an IV with Tiradol. I thought they had given me Tramadol, which is a much stronger narcotic. I did not really want a narcotic, so I'm glad it was Tiradol, not Tramadol. That's just like a stronger non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. And Zofran, which I actually have at home, but I rarely take it because it's for nausea. But usually when I have the nausea, I'm throwing up, so the little pill won't stay down. So they gave me Zofran and all that via IV, which is usually what I need whenever I have those attacks. And then that was like an hour. I think it took about an hour to get in to be seen. There were definitely COVID patients there. I felt really bad for this one lady because you could tell you could tell she was also, probably poor immigrant. Had her son with her translating, like very much like the kind of situation I grew up in. So I know what she was there for. They probably were really hard up for money. It looks like she's a security guard, and she clearly had signs of COVID. Unless she was lucky and had the flu, lucky we say, she definitely had COVID because she was describing like classic symptoms all over. And so her son was helping her translate. They were sitting like right in front of us. Luckily, we're all wearing masks since they do make you mask as soon as you walk in. So I'm hoping I didn't get exposed. We also recently got vaccinated and had COVID in July. So now I just have to watch out to make sure I didn't catch anything from the people who were there. Definitely a lot of kids with like probably RSV and stuff like that were there. And then, the usuals. So, unfortunately, that lady, as I was saying, you could tell, wanted to go to work. She probably needed to go to work. It was probably one of those cases where she would be fired if she didn't go to work. I can only hope that because of the hour and the security uniform, she probably was working in an empty building on a Saturday night, and they went there, and when they told her the wait was at least an hour to be seen, they left. Um, so I don't know what happened to her, but I hope she's okay. And after that, um, most of the other cases didn't look like bad COVID symptoms. Definitely the kids. Like we know right now, there's a lot of kids getting sick, and you could see little kids all with whatever viruses they were carrying. And then this one girl who I could overhear because she was in the room next door was one of those cases of, oh no. I think they were Japanese. It was a mom and a daughter, and they sounded like they might be Japanese based on the names. I guess they had some like treatment to do something to the mom's eyes. At first it seemed like they didn't know too much English, but also like the daughter was trying to explain, and at first it seemed like they were a little embarrassed by it. I could hear them clearly through the curtain. And I guess they went to some spa where they put they said it was plasma on her eyelids. Well, her eyelids were like coming right off. It sounded horrible, and I feel so bad for that lady, and I hope she recovers. They were trying to give her some antibiotics because at first they were like, a medical doctor did this, because they were like, yeah, we went to like a specialist, and then it came out that it wasn't a specialist. It was like some licensed esthetician somewhere in Orlando. We are not in Orlando, so they must have been on vacation and they did this thing, and now her eyelids were like peeling off. So that was scary. I hope that she recovers okay. But in Florida, I mean, and in other places too, but I feel like there's this huge industry with estheticians who do things, and that's always made me so leery every time I drive by. And it's like salon plus beauty treatments, and it's like, gotta be careful with that stuff. So that was my night yesterday, but I still have the headache, even though the pain itself has gone away. It's still in my neck. That's why I'm wearing the cervical collar. It's helping a little bit to stabilize my neck. The situation with the cats is still ongoing, so I don't know how much longer this is going to be, but the lack of sleep is definitely getting to me. I feel like if I move too quickly, I get a little dizzy still. I did take the nausea medication since I'm not actively vomiting. They did tell me to take it for the next couple days and see what happens. But I don't feel like eating anything. I just had some applesauce. Like, I actually was like, I want applesauce and rice and oatmeal. That is all I want. Just the bland foods, and that's what I'm craving, and that's what I'm eating. So we'll see how this goes. But I'm pretty honest and open about my migraines on this channel. I've always tried to be very honest and open about my chronic illnesses, mostly because I do think that it gets lonely when you feel like you have no one who understands you. And my mom had headaches when she was younger, but I'm fairly sure they were just tension headaches. Like, I remember her, having arguments with my dad and then having a headache, and so she doesn't quite understand what a migraine is. She understands what a bad headache is, but I don't remember any of her headaches ever lasting more than a few hours or a day at most, like an overnight, and she'd be fine. Whereas my migraine is not a headache, it's a full body experience, and it lasts sometimes for me for days. And that's what's been happening this week. Like, I've taken all of my stuff, and because the actual situation in which I'm in hasn't changed, they've just rebounded multiple times, and when you have so many rebounds, eventually nothing works, and it gets worse or it gets better and goes away. Sometimes it gets to a point where it's surely this is the peak of the mountain, and then we come down from there. But other times, like it's like let's hang out on the mountain for a little bit, and I think that's where we're at right now. Um, I will see how this goes tomorrow because I do have a bunch of stuff to do at work. That's sometimes um I plan stuff at work, and part of me in the back of my mind is like, but what if I can't even do it? Like, I sometimes can get somebody else to handle it. Sometimes nobody else is around. It's complicated. But yeah, basically my weekend has been a lot of me lying prone because of the just like dizziness. So I haven't really done anything. Just laid down listening to ASMR because sometimes that helps my head to I get that rush of like ASMR tingles up into my head. It feels good. So I do that. And yeah, that's what we're doing. But some people get migraines worse than I do. Some people get them less regularly. I am a chronic migraine sufferer, so they come with a pretty regular pattern nowadays, primarily around my period and ovulation. So like I definitely have hormonal migraines, and then life factor migraines is what I would call the others. So like I have migraines related to certain scents. If I smell certain things, I remember when I last spoke to my neurologist, it was a few months after I'd had COVID, and they've been studying that, like how does migraine get affected by COVID, and they were like, how did they get worse? And I was like, surprisingly no, because I couldn't smell anything, so one major trigger was gone. That was like a weird perk of not having a sense of smell, was no scent migraines, because I couldn't smell any of those things. But I also get triggered by certain foods. I know that like garlic is a trigger for me. Onions have become a trigger for me. Sometimes different like red peppers and stuff like that. Chocolate has become a bit of a trigger for me. If I have too much caffeine, if I have too little caffeine, if I eat dairy in addition to like the dairy symptoms that I get, like certain cheeses, like aged cheese in particular, can trigger me. And these are all tragedies for me because I used to love all that stuff. Like I used to love eating cheese and dairy, and steak with onions is a big like thing when you're a Cuban. So I miss these things, and anytime I go now, it's like a restaurant where I get like one of those traditional Cuban dishes. There's a lot of like moving stuff off the dish in order to eat it safely, or taking the risk and hoping I don't trigger a bad episode. And light affects me, like too much light can affect me if I'm in the middle of one. If I eat too much, if I eat too little, like keeping track of the lifestyle factors is just mind-boggling sometimes. But that's what we are. It's every day. I feel like my body's a science experiment because I have to track what's going on and what can affect it. And some days are wonderful and I don't feel a thing, and it feels like the clouds have parted and the angels are singing and nothing is affecting me, and my head feels normal. And most days that's not the reality. So yeah, I haven't done much of anything all weekend long. I had all these plans to catch up on writing, but that went straight out the window, and that's okay, because I can tell you whenever I try to write through the migraines, like even when I was writing earlier in the week through the small aura and rebound and all that, like it's hard. The words just don't come. It's not easy to focus. It's not easy to pull the words out of my head and onto the page. And looking at the screen affects me, which I've talked about before. Whenever I do talk about my writing process and why I'm sometimes like feel like I'm so behind, and I know that other people might be like, "Oh, you're so quick." But we all hold ourselves to a different standard and we all have different abilities, and that's okay too. But for me, it feels like I am always catching up because for the last few years, I've just been having more and more migraines. Um, and that's just kind of what I have to work with right now. So, yeah, so this is all this to say that I am in the middle of an attack that I hope goes away soon, and that sometimes this is what a migraine looks like. Sometimes you don't physically know that the person is experiencing pain because you can keep on living your life and talking and doing things, but it's like that sudden movement. If I turn my head that way too quick, that'll make me want to pass out. So that's the reality. So I'll check in with you guys later. Hopefully this migraine goes away sooner rather than later. I think maybe we're reaching the peak. I think this thing is actually helping to stretch out like whatever is compressed in my neck right now. And, you know, we'll see how this goes. If you suffer from migraines and have, like your own bag of tricks that you have and want to share, please go ahead in the comments. I'm always looking at people's migraine stories and wondering, what do they have that I don't that I can try. I keep meaning to buy a cephaly. I haven't bitten the bullet yet because they are pricey and I've had a lot of like expenses lately. But if you have a cephaly and you've had a good experience, let me know. Like, is it worth it? Like, what type of migraine do you have, and has it worked well for you? As I am curious. I am very interested in migraine gadgets, and that's one that I've been looking at a lot more closely in the last few months. So I'll check in with you guys later. Oh, Piggy, I'm sorry. So the girls are gone. I took them back home 2 days ago. Um, and this was a lesson to me because they were here for like a week and a half, which we thought they were only going to be in my place for a weekend. They were here for a week and a half. It was, as I said, when I was like going over what was going on, a real struggle. They did not let me sleep for several days, which is why my migraine became so epic and I ended up in the urgent care, as I already went over. But I realized that despite my desire to want to help animals, I, for several reasons, don't think I will ever be a good candidate for foster care. For one, unless something changes very drastically at some point in my life, I am just too busy. Like, I barely have the time to dedicate quality time and attention and, everything, love and petting and cleaning and all the stuff that is required of a cat. Even though people think, cats are like fairly independent, like, yeah, I don't need to walk my cats, but I still need to feed them. I still need to clean their litter box. The litter box situation is always a nightmare when it comes to actually cleaning the box because of how small my apartment is and the fact that I don't have like a hose. Like, for instance, my boyfriend, he has a yard and he has a hose. So when he has our shared cat, that's a long story. When he has to clean her litter box, he just takes it outside, sprays it down, puts some soap in it, lets it sit, and then he's done. Like, he sprays it down again, lets it dry, litter box clean. Whereas I have to do this whole like song and dance situation in the bathroom. I also grew kind of attached, despite the fact that like these cats were rambunctious and caused a little bit of chaos in my home. One plant died, like not died, but like might be dying for all I know. Blackie Black like knocked one of the planters down. I had to put away a bunch of stuff because she was just all over the place. She kept jumping on things. I was terrified that she would jump on the stove because she has a habit of jumping everywhere. It's a lot. Like, my mom has not really trained her in any way. She's just running wild in her house. And while I don't have anything like except for like a few keepsakes where like I've come to a place in my life where if stuff breaks, it breaks. Once upon a time, everything was very meaningful to me and I was very attached to objects. Nowadays, there's only a few items that I feel like particularly attached to. So, for instance, I put away the paw prints for Caramelo and Oreo, who were the previous two cats that I lost. I don't have any paw prints for Didymus, but I was afraid that Blackie was going to try to climb the shelf and knock those down. So I put those away because I that matters to me. Like, that is sentimental to me. But for the most part, like, the objects in my home, if they break, they break. So some stuff got knocked down, that's fine. Some stuff got put away, that's fine. The one thing that I like really put away because I was like, well, these are expensive, was all my crystals. So every crystal got put in a box, and all of my snow globes, including 3 snow globes that I only recently unearthed at my mom's place now that she's been cleaning. So I put those in a box, as I said. And as things became under threat of being knocked down, more things went into that box. They were fine during the day when I wasn't here, but like my presence excited them a little bit more. Always gets, I can watch them on the camera. I will include some footage of the stuff going on, but I find that like even when like it's just Figgy and Nieve, when I am here is when they're at their most excitable, and when I am not, they're fine. Like, they're chill, they're just resting, they're sleeping, they're doing whatever it is that they want to do during the day. They don't even really chase each other. It's only when I'm around that activity starts. But going back to like why I'm not a good candidate for fostering, like other than that, like the fact that like I don't have the time to like just train a cat or look after that many cats. I also kind of grew attached to them even in that short amount of time. And again, these are cats that I see all the time. Like, they live at my mom's place. I have no problem like accessing them, but I did start to grow kind of attached to their quirks and their presence, and like the way they behaved here as opposed to at my mom's house. Like, there was a side of like Polly that I don't normally see at my mom's house because she was really relaxed. My mom has a lot of cats. Polly doesn't like it, and here it was still a bunch of cats, but fewer cats than she has to deal with at her place. So returning them home was a little sad to me, and like there were a few tears the night before because I was like, yeah, I kind of like having you, and it revealed a lot to me about why I can't have them, which was also a little saddening. And it brought up a lot of, like, the whole reason that they were here involved a lot of feelings. So a lot of feelings were stirred all around. Their having to be here was a very emotional reason, and their going back felt a little emotional. I mean, my mom wanted her cats back. Like, she loves those cats. But yeah, like, I've always, before I took Figgy in, my intention had originally been to bring in Mimi, the little black one. And when Figgy arrived, he, clearly there was something different about him. He was a little bit wobbly at the time. He walked a little funny, and my mom was like, he is gonna not survive in the wild. And that pretty much was true. Like, we don't think, the way he is, when he gets excited, he runs, he trips, he falls over. So I made the choice to bring Figgy, and if someday I need to bring Mimi, then I will, but I had to make that call. Like, I could not have 3 cats at the time, and having all of them over here revealed to me that that was the right call. I can't, like, for multiple reasons, not least of which is that I don't know what the apartment situation will be. My landlords are older people. Rent in Miami is crazy expensive, and a lot of places charge you basically like pet rentals. So if I have to leave here and I'm not ready to move into my own place, I don't know what the situation pet-wise will be. I know that I will never go to a place where I can't have my pets. Like, that's not a thing I will ever do. I have had, moments at the local animal shelter, not the county animal shelter, but our Humane Society shelter, where I've seen people, have to surrender pets, and that's not a thing I want to ever experience, like surrendering a pet because your landlord doesn't let you have one. So yeah, I mean, that's just the reality. I realize that I can't have them all for numerous reasons, and like I said, it shook up a lot of, like, emotions about my life, where I'm at right now, my inability to help my mom with this situation further than I'm currently helping, just because of those limitations. Like, the rental market is crazy in Miami, but the housing market is 10 times worse. Every time that I have thought about buying, like, something crazy has happened right now. They keep saying that, I mean, we know we're in a recession, but, like, they keep saying that the housing is going to drop, the prices are going to drop. But every so often I read articles where it's like, well, places like Miami are the exception. Like, the housing market's always wild here no matter what. And yeah, like, I kind of had hoped that at my age I would have been a little bit further along in terms of, like, my housing situation. I don't want to be a lifelong renter necessarily. I don't want to be a house owner. Like, I don't need, like, a McMansion type house. I just would like a place of my own to call home, to be able to, have my pets and my comforts and my mom if needed. That's a whole other, emotional situation, because I don't have any strong desire to live with my mom for many reasons, but, not least of which is that we drive each other up the wall. But I do love my mom, and I'll take her in if needed, and if she gets ill or something, or needs housing, I would like to be able to help. And right now, I can't. Like, in my current state of where I live, I really can't, and I can't afford, like, her income is so small, I can't really afford to, like, basically have a grown child if I were to take her in. So all these feelings are stirred by this situation, and I'm hoping that it will resolve soon. We're in a limbo state. Like, she's taking care of some more stuff, but for now the cats are back at her place. They're probably going to come back here for a couple of visits again, and I've told her that because Figgy enjoyed Blackie's company so very much. I'll probably bring her over just to keep her used to the idea of traveling and to keep them socialized. She was actually his first friend through a door when he was isolated because he had a terrible case of lice that did not resolve for about 6 months. Like, I kept taking him to the vet on a weekly basis for checkups. Like, they got to know me so well. Like, I became a fixture at the vet's office every week. I would take him in every couple of weeks, every, like, however many days of treatment they would tell me, but regularly, multiple times a month. I was taking him into the vet over a 6-month period until finally he was cleared of lice. It was a persistent case and it took multiple treatments. And because of the situation with so many cats in the house, we had to keep him isolated. That's why he stayed there instead of coming to my place for so long after we decided to bring him over. So he is now going to the restroom, so you'll hear him scratching. He really enjoyed Blackie, even though he couldn't remember her. At first, he was very hissy towards her, but when he was in the room and she was in the house, she would go and like stick her hands under, and of course my mom would then try to separate them because she didn't really want them touching, but she would always sneak over there and like do something or like toss things to him under the door, and then he would do the thing where it's like, free me. So they got to play like that when they were kittens, and now we got to play again as semi-adult cats. So I think it would be nice to bring her over for cat dates, I guess. I don't know how often that'll happen, but I am trying to plan around that and see how it goes. But now my house is still a little bit in chaos. Trying to catch up on life. That's why I'm doing my nails now, because I literally have not done my nails in all the time that the cats were here. I did my nails for the Thanksgiving party at work, and that was the last time, because that's when things started to break down fast with my mom's situation, and I kept having to go and help her and move stuff and dismantle things, take stuff in the car, and it's been a number on me physically, and my nails was one of those things where it was like, something's got to give, and that's one of the many things that gave. Figgy, what are you doing? He's struggling in the box. Things are happening. So all this to say, I can only be a cat mom to a limited number of cats. I cannot handle a whole colony of kittens in my home, or of grown cats or anything. It's just a little bit too much work for me, especially at this point in my life. Maybe one day if I'm retired or something, but that all, who knows what retirement will even look like when I'm at that age. Like, will that even be an option for me? I don't know. So it is what it is. It is currently December. I would like to return to a state of normalcy, or like reset my life in some way, that I am once again doing the things that I've been moving towards. And I feel like at this point right now, what I'm focusing on the most is just restoring my health, because it has taken a major hit with this whole being an urgent care situation. That whatever medication they gave me really threw me off. Like, my body has been struggling since then, and it's really disheartening. Like, I've gone into a major IBS flare. I've gone into a major migraine flare. I am so stressed out lately that it's really affected like my whole system, neurological and digestive, let alone who knows what's going on with my thyroid because of the impact of stress and like my hormones and all that mess. So take care of yourselves. Always find the time to look after yourselves. I tried to at least make time to rest the last few weeks, because I knew I needed it. I've vegged a lot, and there's a child screaming in the background somewhere. I've also just taken the time to have a lot of walks, because that's mostly what I can do. I've also borrowed a VR headset from my library to play with, because that has been very helpful in both entertaining and providing some sort of movement for my body, because right now, like I said, I need the movement. There have been too many days where I haven't been able to exercise properly, and I exercise not only for, the aesthetics of it, but also just for the health benefits, because I need to move my body to keep it functioning. Like when I'm moving and actively engaging in exercise, like my joints feel better, my digestion improves, my whole body like functions a little bit better, it runs more smoothly, and that has also taken a hit. So this has been an interesting month. December is about a third of the way through. I'm hoping to recover a little bit now that things are sort of back to normal, slowing down, and I will be on vacation starting soon, so that should be fun and hopefully relaxing, and hopefully a chance to finally finish the novella that I started, because I need like 10,000 more words, and it shouldn't take me this long to write those, but it has because of all these other little roadblocks. So that is what is going on in my life right now. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Let me know in the comments how it's been going for you. What are your plans for the holidays? Are you able to take a little break, even if it's just a couple of days? I know that, it's always hard to find time for yourself, but if you can do it, don't be like me and end up in urgent care because you're unable to sleep and unable to rest. So I will check in with you guys later. That wraps up today's vlog. Hopefully I'll have some vacation content. I don't really know what I'll be doing. Maybe I'll even get down to doing a couple of plan with me's for the beginning of the year, because I do have a new hobonichi. After 2 years of using my long-term bullet journal, I've decided to try a hobonichi, see how that goes, with a combo planning method that I recently got really into. So we'll see, maybe I might record something like that. I also have some plans to declutter, because in addition to all the stuff that's happened lately, my body has changed and I just need to let go of some stuff. So that's what I'm planning for the vacation time, and I'll probably try to record that. It might be a combined video or several videos, but hopefully that'll happen if I have the energy for it. But as always, take care of yourselves. Have a great day, evening, night, whatever it is where you are, and I will see you guys later. Bye.